Members, the formal quorum and is already the scheduled time. May I call the meeting to order? First thing on the agenda is confirmation of minutes of our meeting dated the 9th of December 2013. The members have been, the minutes have been circulated to members. If there is no objection, then the minutes are confirmed. Information paper issued since the last meeting, there are 3. Please refer to the agenda. Date of our next meeting and also the agenda. On 15th of February, i.e. this Saturday at 9 a.m. in room 1, we have a special meeting. It is a public hearing on licensing renewal of ATV and TVB. So far, 24 deputations or individuals have indicated interest to come. The administration and TVB will be represented. I don't know about ATV. Oh, they have replied. All right. The 2 TV stations and the administration, 24 members of the public will be present. And the April meeting will be held on the 14th of April in room 3. There are 3 items. First, the setting up of a unified information and communications technology professional recognition framework in Hong Kong. Item 1 on our list of outstanding issues. Number 2, progress report on the work of Hong Kong Design Center. And Ms. Claudia MO wrote to me on the 12th of February in relation to the dismissal of program host by commercial radio. And on the 19th, that is next Wednesday, Ms. Mo is going to move a motion in accordance with Electoral Powers and Privileges Ordinance. And the motion reads that this Council Commission appoint a select committee to investigate into the dismissal of Ms. Li Wei-ling, program host by commercial radio, and the suspected political interference of the administration into the editorial independence of commercial radio, and that the select committee be given the power to exercise all the authority under Section 9(1) of the Electoral P&P Ordinance. Since Ms. Mo is going to move a motion, I don't think it is necessary for this panel to take up that item. Ms. Mo, the floor is yours. All right, we'd like to invoke the Electoral Powers and Privileges Ordinance to investigate into the matter, but I don't think we stand any chance of passing the motion. So can we have a discussion in this panel, because there is the possible abuse of airwaves. You are saying that after the motion debate on the 19th of motion, we revisit the topic in this panel. Now, if the motion is defeated, well, I don't think we have a chance. Every member is entitled to speak for 7 minutes, and you're entitled to 15 minutes, and amenders 10 minutes. I think there should be ample opportunities for people to express their views. Will people have anything more to say in this panel? No. When we're here, we are not asking to speak. Rather, we want Ms. Lee and the management of commercial radio and the administration to give us an account of the matter. Well, I think the order should be for the panel to discuss the item first before we have the motion in the council. If it is the other way around, and I think it will be just going through the motion here. Anyone who would like to speak on that? Ms. Emily Lau. I raised my hand to ask when will the Saturday meeting end? It will start at 9 a.m., right? 11 a.m., because we don't have too many deputations. Do you have anything to say on this matter? Yes, I think, and it's always our convention to have a discussion in the panel first. We invite all parties to discuss with us, and then we go back to the council to invoke powers and privileges. If Ms. Mo agrees, that's fine. If not, she can have her way. Mr. Stephen Chen, I agree with members here. I think we should seek information from the administration and the stakeholders before we have the motion debate. That is better, because we may have to go to the council again if we receive new information in that discussion. Anything more? Ms. Claudia MO? Of course, I've considered the procedures, but if we drag our feet, it would be it would be after the summer recess. So, however, for that motion, I think is just to show our position. As I said, I want Ms. Lee and also the management of commercial radio and the relevant officials to meet with us and discuss with us. Ms. Lau, a veteran member, just reminded us the usual procedures, but it doesn't matter. We can depart from our usual procedures so long as we so wish. But the important thing is whether we have the time. Our meetings, we have already got a very tight schedule for our meeting, and if we only have 45 minutes, it's useless. But perhaps you may feel happy because someone from the administration and also Mr. Chen from Commercial Radio and Ms. Lee will be here. But you may end up only having Ms. Lee here because the administration is not going to answer your questions. However, at the debate, so many people will be speaking there, then we will have some clout. If we only allow Ms. Lee to be here, and then we take the opportunity to scold people, it's useless. If we can find a slot, I don't mind. So if we can find a slot, I will do as you wish. If I can't find a slot, then there is nothing I can do. All right. If I can get a slot, it doesn't matter. Any proposals by members will be handled. We will try to accommodate your wish as far as possible. Mr. Yu, let's await the outcome of the motion debate first. All right, let's not speculate. Let's wait until we have the debate on Wednesday, and then we decide on the way forward. Deputy Chairman. There was a discussion in House Committee, and there will also be a motion debate in the coming sitting. We have a long list of outstanding items. We want to spend time on them. I believe we have had ample discussion on this subject. As mentioned by the chairman, even if we are to revisit this subject, perhaps Ms. Lee will be the only one present. So I don't think it is necessary. All right, we have 4 items to go through. So you see, our agenda is already very tight. Let's await the result of the motion debate on the 19th of March. And if the motion is not passed and Ms. Mo still wants to invite all the parties to meet with us, that's okay, but we have our priorities. Today we've already got 4 items on our agenda. If we can find a slot to accommodate, by all means. All right, I hope that is acceptable to you. Then we go on to the next item. There are 4 items on the agenda. Oh, sorry, we have extended the meeting by 1 hour so that we can all speak as much as we like. In particular, many honorable members are out of town on the mainland, so we have plenty of opportunities today. Item 4, in fact, is the first item. proposed extension of a supernumerary post of AO staff grade B in Radio Television Hong Kong. Again, we revisit this issue, and for this item we have Ms. Susie Ho, the Secretary for Permanent Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Mr. Joe Wong, Deputy Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Mr. Aaron Liu, PAS, from the same bureau, and from the RTHK, Ms. Tai Kin Man, Deputy Director of Broadcasting, and Ms. Leonia Tai, Deputy Director of Broadcasting. In fact, there was already a discussion of this item on the 9th of December 2013, and in principle, we supported the creation of the post for 5 years from the 27th of May 2014 to 26th of May 2019. And the title name is Deputy Director of Broadcasting Development. Since the administration was unsuccessful in getting the approval of PWSC for the construction of the new broadcasting house, the administration will not resubmit the paper to PWSC again. However, the administration believes that there is still the need to create this supernumerary, to extend this supernumerary post. And so the administration is going to consult us on the revised proposal before going to the ESC. All right, one of the major duties of this DD of B development is to oversee the construction of the broadcasting house, new BH. However, it's just one of its duties.
Permanent Secretary. Thank you, Chairman. As mentioned by Chairman at the panel meeting on the 9th of December 2013, members supported in principle the proposal to extend the supernumerary post of AOSGB, designated as the Deputy Director of Broadcasting in RTHK, for 5 years to lead and steer the planning and implementation of new services and projects, including the new broadcasting house, digital audio broadcasting, digital terrestrial television broadcasting services, and media asset management project, MEM project. These projects will take around 5 years. As mentioned just now, as the new broadcasting house was not supported by the Public Works Subcommittee in terms of the scale of project, we're trying to find out a pragmatic approach and to reapply for funding approval. And there is therefore the urgent need to extend the supernumerary post, because apart from supervising the above projects, the post will also need to be engaged in the retendering exercise and resubmission of the project to the LegCo. And at the last meeting, some members asked that the new post should be taken up by a professional, and I hope members will understand that in terms of resources control and contingency management, etc., all these have to do with macro management, with a lot of stakeholders and complicated matters involved. We think that it is more suitable for the post to be taken up by an administrative officer. And this post will expire on the 26th of May this year, to continue with the high-level senior directorate leadership in the RTHK new projects and services. We ask members to support this proposal to extend the AOSGB post, and with members' support, we will seek the approval of the Establishment Subcommittee and FC to extend the post for about 5 years before its expiry. We have Mr. Sin Chung Kai, Dr. Loy Kwok, and Mr. Yu Si Wing waiting to ask questions. Who else? And Mr. Stephen Ho. You're not a member of this panel? You are? Because I seldom attend the meeting, Chairman, We have just few members here. Foreman Siege, Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Well, Chairman, RTHK is left to survive on its own. I don't know what will happen to RTHK. We support the Democratic Party supports the new broadcasting house, but the project is now not taken forward. And you're still asking for the extension of this supernumerary post. You have this post, but you may not have this new broadcasting house. I don't know. I support you anyways, but I really hope that the new broadcasting house can be taken forward for digital audio broadcasting service and also the DTT, digital terrestrial TV broadcasting services. Because of these services, the house should be expanded. We should take a multi-pronged approach, and there should be an expansion of digital services. I don't know. In fact, the AO post, the AOs would be reassigned to another post normally after 3 years of serving same post. Now this AO will have to stay for more than 5 years. So I hope that the design and build would be completed as soon as possible, and the plan to be resubmitted to LegCo for approval as soon as possible. Nothing else, I show my support. So I remind members that apart from the new broadcasting house as shown in the previous papers, there are also other scope of duties involved: digital audio broadcasting, DTT, MAM project, etc. And last time the ESC endorsed the post, and because of the new broadcasting house project being shelved, they have revised the scope of duties. Dr. Lo Kwai Kwok. About this Deputy Director of Broadcasting Developments, why isn't this post taken up by a professional, but rather an AO? Well, Permanent Secretary gave us a succinct explanation, and still I'm puzzled because the major duties include coordinating the new broadcasting house project and DAB, DTT services, and also to steer and plan for the media asset management project, the digital archive, the restoration of high-risk archived. I don't know why this post shouldn't be taken up by a technocrat with the suitable expertise. In terms of the scope of duties set out, I really think that the post should be taken up by a civil servant with a suitable professional background. I need to make my stance here, and regardless of the outcome. As for the Director of Broadcasting, I don't know whether this is. I don't know why this is not a permanent post. Is it because of the heavy workload that you need to have this supernumerary post to give support to the director? Now, about this post not being taken up by a professional, in fact, of the scope of duties involved, they are going to provide professional advice. But the duties also involve the tendering and the reviewing the scope of the new broadcasting house and financial planning, construction costs, and media asset management project, and the 22 fill-in stations for DTT services. They involve a lot of planning and coordination and liaison with other units, and the post will also be responsible for negotiations. And this is more suitable if it is taken up by an AO. And for engineering professional, they may be more familiar with their expertise, but in terms of liaising with other departments, an AO would be more suitable. Maybe I'll defer to RTHK to take the other question. Ms. Tai. Thank you, Chairman. Now, about the support to the Director of RTHK, when 3 years ago, when RTHK was confirmed as the public service broadcaster, there was a need to expand the staff establishment, and at that time there was a need to create a post for as director of broadcasting, and now we need to have a supernumerary post, and for the controllers mentioned, in fact, it was set up 3 years ago. Now, about whether engineers are suitable for coordination work or not, I really oppose the Permanent Secretary's explanation, because even for mainland leaders, a lot of them are engineers themselves, so I really don't accept this explanation. Next, Mr. Yu Si Wang. Last time I asked the same question. I asked why it would be extended for 5 years, and last time the administration explained that it was because of the new broadcasting house project, and I asked how the work will be divided, etc. But now the new broadcasting house project has been shelved. So my question is, when will the plan be resubmitted to LegCo? And what happens if it fails to get approval? This post will be extended for 5 years. So even if it fails to secure support, this post will last for 5 years. So will there be further revision of the scope of duties of the Deputy Director? You talk about resubmission. No, they are not going to resubmit the new broadcasting house project. But if they're not going to resubmit it, there is no need to create this post. Permanent Secretary, we need to make it clear, Chairman, here, that we would like to resubmit the new broadcasting house project to the Legislative Council. But we need to consider how we could address the PWSC's members' concerns, including the size of the house and construction costs. And we also need to consider how we could reduce costs, for example, by hiring venues outside, and what can be done in order for the new for the existing broadcasting house to meet the demand in the interim. And we need roughly 2 years' time to complete the design before we resubmit our plan for funding approval. So it will be 2 years, and then we will decide which approach to take. But as we mentioned just now, we would like to be pragmatic to finish this task as soon as possible. We are not minded to just shelve the project. And in the interim, we're also going to carry out maintenance works on existing RTHK facilities, so some work will be involved. This post also covers, apart from the new broadcasting house project, fill-in stations for DTT services and MAM project. And for the fill-in stations, they would be completed by the first quarter of 2022, and the MAM project review will be conducted after its completion in 2016. So some other work will be involved, and we believe that 5 years is a suitable period. CEO. So will the administration have a plan B, say after 2 years, if the resubmission again fails, what will happen to the scope of duties of this Deputy Director? Will there be any revision? Of course, we don't want the plan to fail again in 2 years. But anyways, the existing RTHK facilities simply can't cope with the service demand. And if unfortunately in 2 years' time we fail again, we need to come up with remedies on how to utilize existing facilities together with other supporting facilities in meeting the service demand. But I can't imagine why we would encounter such a misfortune. But 2 years, there might be new electrical members, so good luck to you. About the DTT filling stations, this will be on our next item on the agenda, and it has to do with the new broadcasting house as well. So we'll come to that in a moment. Next, Mr. Stephen Ho. Thank you, Chairman. My question is actually similar to Mr. Yu's, and he asked the question first. The post was first created to last for 3 years in May 2011, and now it will be extended for 5 years. So, has the 5 years to do with the new broadcasting house only? And Secretary mentioned that the scope of duties doesn't just involve the new broadcasting house. So, can you tell us what has this Deputy Director done over the past 3 years? Show us the report card. Well, last time we asked for this post, 3 years for this post, and we expect to launch a review, and we expected to extend the post when the new PH project is taken forward. So let me interject. My question is, why is it not extended for 3 years and instead for 5 years?
Well, as I said, in the installation of filling stations, it can only be completed in the first quarter of 2019, the earliest. And for other duties, they take about 4 or 5 years. And for the new BH, counting from May this year, it will be about 5 years before it can be completed. Now, the broadcasting houses suffer a slippage, and I think it will be more than 2 years before we can come back to seek funding for it. I expect that we can get funding for it, so we will extend the post for 5 years, and we expect other tasks to be completed. Well, the post in the past 3 years were mainly responsible for coordination of different departments and various divisions within the RTHK in relation to the various facilities required in the new BH, and completed the land arrangements, and also completed all the approval within the government, and completed the tendering exercise as well. So the advanced work and even the tendering of the new BH has been completed, and we plan to lease land from the radio stations in 7 hilltops and other installations, and also DTT, and then for DAB, we also discussed with other stations in the planning of DAB, and we started broadcasting in 2012. And management of media asset. Well, we are now doing the restoration of archive materials and computerization. We have completed the first phase. We are now doing the second phase. All right. Well, in fact, Mrs. Tai is the incumbent officer, so when her time is up, she will be transferred out. So I think she has already report to you what she has done. The labor union of RTHK has criticized the management of RTHK and the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau for withdrawing the funding application, although they believe you had already secured sufficient votes. So was there any intention on the part of the administration to allow RTHK to shrink? So the post is actually supposed to coordinate or see through the oversee the construction of BH. I think you have done it the other way around. The paper has been withdrawn, and yet you want to extend the post. Ms. Ho said that it will be about 2 years before they come back to seek funding approval from FC. Are you talking about February, March of 2016? If yes, we haven't got a new term of LegCo. We have the same members. By that time, I'm sure the construction cost would only be higher than it is now. And Ms. Ho said that she failed to see any reason why there would be risks in the passage of the application. So I'd like to know, how have you arrived at this 2-year timetable? P.S. As I explained, yes, we've also got a letter from the staff union of RTHK. Regarding procedures, we have every respect for established procedures and mechanism. That is, we have to go to PWSC first before going to FC. According to the staff union, there were projects where the PWSC was bypassed. However, in 2001, there was adjudication, and the government had to settle the bill of legal liability and financial liability, and therefore went to FC Direct. So why is it that in 2 years' time we can come back and seek approval again? Because RTHK is studying how we can lower the construction cost by adjusting the scope of development. For instance, some members asked whether we could do away with some items, and whether some of the facilities can be stationed out of the broadcasting house. I'm afraid I won't have time. You talk about March, February of 2016 when you talk about 2 years. Well, our estimate is in 2 years' time, I believe it will be around this time of the year. But this is just a guess because, of course, I want to come back as soon as possible. Let me tell you, you will certainly not be able to come back. I don't think they can come back in February 2016. All right, if there are no further comments. All right, Christopher Jong, you have shut down RTHK. Is your turn. Well, you must withdraw your remarks. All right, I withdraw my remarks. I withdraw my remarks. All right, please don't waste time. All right. All along, when we discuss promotion or retention or creation of deletion of posts, well, I've served in so many public bodies. Usually, the incumbent officer will not be present. I fail to understand why the DD of broadcasting is present. Is she here to create pressure to bear on members? This is not appropriate. I support extension of the post, though I have reservation as to the length because there are outstanding work to be done. Ms. Stephen Ho was correct. Are you talking about Albert Ho or Stephen Ho? Stephen Ho, who's very attentive to his task. Well, Well, if the performance of the deputy director performed very well in the past 2 years, then the proposal would not have been shot down. So it's not a question of Christopher Jones shooting down the proposal. I'm pleased to hear that the PS is going to consider the views. All right, we hope that there can be some performance. I'm not saying that you have shot down RTHK. You represent a certain body. Which body do I represent? Isn't DAB a body? No, I present myself. I am a legislator. It is my duty to monitor the government. Well, do you think it will serve any purpose if you speak loudly? P.S. I think we have asked an incumbent officer to be present when we discuss the creation or extension of certain posts, and there is no question of pressurizing members. In the coming days, we are going to satisfy as far as possible issues raised by members in relation to the new BH, and we hope that the post will not just be responsible for the development of the new BH, and I think it is appropriate to extend the post for 5 years. In the interim, if members would like to know our progress, we will certainly come back and report to the panel. All right. You have 2 more minutes. You have 1 more minute, and you have decided to give up. Mrs. Regina Ip, do you have anything to say? No? Then, to summarize, I think in general we are supportive of the proposal, and I hope at ESC meeting your proposal would not be shot down. All right, the next item is also one from the RTHK, and that is the construction or establishment of filling stations for DTTS of RTHK. When this item was discussed in September on the 9th of December 2013, and the panel passed a motion that is to urge the administration to come back and give proposals to this panel after the new BH has been approved by PWS and ESC. And then on the 13th of February, the administration provided a written response saying that the filling stations had nothing to do with the new BH. So the item is put before us again. Thank you, Chairman. I think you have already given us the background of the paper. On the 12th of January 2012, RTHK started the operation of 3 high-definition DTT channels. According to Para 8, there are some part of our population not covered by our network of filling stations. Some LegCo members wrote to us asking us for the reasons. To increase the coverage to almost 100% of Hong Kong's population, we propose to install the filling station at a cost of about $64 million. We appeal to members to support us so that the project can start as soon as possible, so that members of the public not covered by our network can have access to RTHK DTT service as soon as possible. If members are supportive, we will apply for funding support from FC in the second quarter of 2012. Christopher Chong, Yu Xiwing, Sin Chong Kai. Anyone more? Any more? Claudia Mo. Any? 4 minutes each. Christopher Chong. Thank you, Chairman. I have 2 questions. First, can RTHK tell us clearly the long-term policy of digital terrestrial television service, while you are doing it according to the RTHK Charter, and that it is a must that you promote DTT. However, that means you will have less analog broadcasting. So, can you tell us whether you're going to merge digital and analog broadcasting? What will be the future operation? Now, you say that there are 5 analog stations, and in future there will be 10 more digital channels. Well, people will be using digital devices, and will there be still such a big audience for your analog channels? Now, you are going to build very expensive facilities to serve minority sectors. Well, please clarify your question. You talk about analog and digital. Once there is digital broadcasting, there won't be analog broadcasting anymore. Well, you put this question to the PS. Well, for DTTS, it's true that the RTHK has got only DTT service. There is no analog television service. And for audio broadcasting, of course, we have analog broadcasting, audio broadcasting, and digital audio broadcasting is something new which we are going to promote. And for AM/FM broadcasting, with no intention to turn them all to DAB. So there will continue be FM, AM broadcasting. It's true that many members of the public have purchased digital radios, but there are still people using AM, FM radios. So we have no intention to phase out FM, AM broadcasting.
Now my question is whether you have collected data on the radio aspect. How many people will continue to use the analog model? How many will use the digital model? Do you have any statistics or survey for things in the long run? Chairman, for radio broadcasting, the audience survey, as far as this is concerned, I don't think there is a comprehensive review, but I understand that the audience rating is not that high, because just like the starting of digital broadcasting in any other jurisdictions, in the beginning stage the rating may not be very high. We need to collect some information first. Then we consider whether it's necessary to combine the analog and digital service, or whether the analog service should be phased out. Don't hold the microphone. You can adjust this position, but don't hold it while you speak. P.S. We have no intention to phase out the analog service, but I cannot forecast the future development. I don't think it's necessary for you to answer his question. We're talking about a fill-in station for DTT services, digital terrestrial television service, not of radio service. Go back and read the document, read your papers. Next, Mr. Yu Si Wing. Well, for TVB and ATV, they have transmitting stations, and the RTHK will have its own. And in the future, other TV stations may set up similar stations. Now, Hong Kong is not a huge, it's not a huge place, and if every station invests in developing transmission facilities, then it will be a waste of resources. So the government should take the lead in coordinating resources. This may be opportune for the government to coordinate the development of transmissions or transmitting stations. P.S. That's very true about the proposed 22 fill-in stations. We're actually building extra components on top of the existing transmitting stations of ATV and TVB, and they can be put in they can be encased, and 11 of them belong to ATV, 11 of TVB. And we would like to share existing resources as far as possible. And when we first granted land, or leased land to the 2 state TV stations, we stipulated that the space should be shared. Mr. Yeo? So what if the 4th and the 5th TV station in the future would like to set up transmitting stations as well? Would the government say that no more new transmitting stations can be set up, and the network will only confine to these 27 or 29 stations, rather than granting new land for new transmitting stations endlessly? Now let me supplement. As a licensing requirement, the 2 free-to-air license TV stations are now required to open their transmitting stations for use, and some costs may have to be shared as one of the requirements. And even if there are new developments, for example, the RTHK is looking for transmitting stations, the RTHK can use the shared transmission facilities. What about the ownership and vetting rights of the transmitting stations? Maybe let me supplement. The site belongs to the government, but the structure on the site belongs to the 2 TV stations. I mean, they cover the costs, the construction costs, so it can be regarded as their assets. But we also require them to allow the share use of the site if in the future other TV stations are to set up transmitting facilities there. So that means they can give their approval or not. So are you going to regularize the rights so that in the 4th and the 5th TV stations, approval must be given as long as some criteria are met? Because at present, even if the government wants to use the network, it would have to consult the 2 TV stations. Yes, in fact, it has been regularized. The assets are owned by the 2 TV stations, but according to the licensing requirements, they have to share the facilities for use. And it's clearly stipulated that the cost will have to be shared as well. And if there are problems with negotiations, the Communications Authority can act as the mediator. So just like the Hong Kong television renting the TVB's facilities, the Communications Authority could act as a mediator. Well, Mr. Sin Chung Kai, Chairman, I don't think it's appropriate for a chairman to reprimand a member, but Mr. Christopher Jong should be reprimanded because he hasn't read the papers. Excuse me, he is speaking. Raise your hand and wait for your round. Don't speak yet. I have never heard of something like a digital analog broadcasting. Maybe it's maybe Mr. Jong invented it himself. So coming back to this paper. Now the RTHK is neither alive or dead. The new broadcasting house project is shelved, and without the new BH, it's questionable whether so many programs could be produced. I am concerned that with all the new filling stations, you won't be able to produce many programs for our audience. So, for example, for radio, for RTHK station 31, they give reruns just like ATVs. They play the same program several times a day. And RTHK is just the same as ATV. So it's all a matter of insufficient programs. We'd like the new broadcasting house to be built. It's necessary to spend 4 years in establishing 22 filling stations. Well, it will be after the universal suffrage for CE after 2019. After getting funding approval, you need to wait until 2015 before this project is given a start. Let's say after funding approval from FC, you need to go through tendering, etc. Still, it would only take 2 years to complete the project. Does it mean that you're trying to do things very slowly? P.S. Well, to take the first question on the programs broadcast on Station 31, we are providing broadcasts of 8.5 hours daily on weekdays and 13.5 hours on weekends. It has nothing to do with the new broadcasting house, and we are trying to maximize the use of our resources in providing more programs. This is what the RTHK will do. As for the long period required, I'll defer to my colleague to take it. Well, with member support, we will then submit the proposal to FC. We hope that the advanced works can be completed within this year, including site investigation and feasibility studies and the negotiation with the 2 TV stations and tendering. We hope all these works can be completed within this year so that early next year we can start the construction. Now, the 22 stations are involved. Some are in remote areas on hilltops, and some liaison will have to be done, and there may be district issues, and we also need to deploy staff to watch over these stations. And we have built 7 filling stations, and we expect to build 4 to 5 stations per year. And we think that the timetable of 4 to 5 years is appropriate. Now, about the 64 million required. Now, about the construction of equipment cubicles for B and C, these have to do with equipments. Yes, mostly it's not cost coming from construction, but rather from installation of facilities. For example, for the 2 TV stations, if their existing stations have enough space to accommodate the equipment, we don't need to have extra ones. But the construction itself is very simple. We only need to build cubicles to accommodate the facilities. So about the 11.4 million under 9A, this sum covers simple construction of metal cubicles for containing the equipment. So the funding application has to do with the procurement and installation of equipment. Next, Ms. Claudia MO. Now, RTHK is asking for new filling stations to be built. I don't think anyone will object to the proposal, but the question is, the matter will be dragging on for too long. It's quite bureaucratic. All the talk about these stations being remote, etc. Or how large is Hong Kong anyway? Mr. Ricky Wong, will start its online TV station on the 1st of July because existing TV stations will not let their transmitting facilities. Well, these are commercial conduct, and people are puzzled. Be it at the government level, the communications authority, or at the business level, some operators having possession over the transmission facilities, they have all the say whether to accept or reject the lettee. And so far, the communications authority hasn't received any complaint or request for assistance. Now, for these 22 DTT filling stations, they will be established with public money. Without THK has exclusive rights to use the facilities, will the community be able to use them?
P.S. Perhaps our THK colleagues can supplement. According to my understanding, now if we build it ourselves, then it can be only used for transmitting our THK channels because there's a lot of equipment and devices inside. Perhaps our THK colleague can supplement. No. Paradigm refers to our own transmission facilities. So our government uses public money to procure such equipment. Therefore, we will not let it to other TV stations. But for public facilities such as the transmission stations, well, these TV stations already spend money to build them, so we have to pay them rent. And if the hilltops are big enough to put our facilities, we don't have to build cubicles. But for common facilities, for transmitting of airwaves, well, in the interest of time, I'd like to ask two questions, all right? Those that are built by RTHK, they are public property. So will the government then monopolize the places where transmission stations or filling stations can be built? And you keep saying the existing transmission facilities are owned by these TV stations. What if their licenses are not renewed? What will happen to these transmitting stations? Second question. If in that case, of course, these assets of these companies will have contingency plans in response, such as, for instance, the government is using public money to procure such assets. Mrs. Regina Ip. All right, there are 3 DTT channels going on trial run. I'd like to know the response of the trial run. Do you know what is the audience-ship, and do you have any feedback from the audience? And are you talk about programs purchased or those are produced by RTHK? For DTT, on the 12th of January this year, we started trial run of the channels. We have to educate the public how to receive DTT signals of RTHK. We spent a lot of efforts doing that in the past few months. Response has been positive so far. However, not many percentage of the population can receive our signals. We will continue to promote DTT services to the public. So there will 22 filling stations will cover 24% of our population, and in 75% of the population we cover, not many of them can receive DTT signals from RTHK. Regarding the content, we are mainly showing RTHK produced programs. We have procured some other productions. For instance, every week we have documentaries from BBC and from the States, and we've also got a program on other places. They account for about 10% or so of the programs broadcast. Can you tell us how many members of the public are really receiving your signals and watching DTT? We don't have any specific figure. Well, the number will be very small. I don't think it would be too big. Have you viewed channel 33? Of course not. Well, you are not a member of the audience. Or you've purchased programs from CCTV and China Central Television Channel. But what about a very famous drama, Downton Abbey and other things? They are of very high quality. Will you purchase such programs? Mr. Tai? Well, our programs focus on current affairs, education, arts, and culture. So what you propose is not within our scope of procurement. But we'll continue to promote arts and culture programs. There will be many purchased, and also programs for education purpose, and also documentaries. Christopher Chung Yoshi Wing, second round, 3 minutes. Thank you. I must spend some time to respond to Sin Chung Kai. It's not that I have not read my paper. I deliberately spent my time to ask questions on DAB. So please do not criticize me. From time to time you do digress. And the point is they did answer my questions. Okay, going back to this question, to this paper. I'd like to know whether the mode is just the same as that of RTHK, of TVB and ATV. They gradually be standardized or uniformed, because you can't you cannot exhaust the airtime of one channel. I think you can rent the channel from one another. Regarding the use of mode, the mode we use is just the same as that of ATV and TVB. However, our frequencies are different, so our facilities cannot be used by ATV and TVB and vice versa. Will you gradually unify the standards so that it will be more cost effective? Well, we're only renting their land. We're only renting space within their buildings and some of the facilities. For our own facilities and equipment, they have to be owned by RTHK. According to the director, there is 75% coverage of the 3 channels, but many people don't know how to receive the signals. If RTHK doesn't promote or doesn't do the work to promote their channels, then it will be a waste. So what is RTHK going to do? Mr. Tai? we must publicize widely. For the population really covered, they don't know that they have to reset their channels. They have to tune their TV again. So if the antennae can already receive signal from DTT, then they have to tune their TV sets so that they can receive signals from channels 31, 32, and 33. However, in some housing developments, they may decide not to install that amplifier for receiving signals from RTHK. The investment is just a few $1,000s, but the approval of the management office or the owners incorporation may be required. So for a building that can already receive signals of RTHK, DTT, there may need to be modulation and calibration of individual TV sets. We are now studying this issue. We will continue to discuss with the communications authority and also operators how this can be done. How long are they going to take, and will you need extra resources so as to achieve better results? Director, in 2014, we'll focus our efforts on this. Most of our money is spent on publicity. Have you earmarked money for that? Yes, that's already budgeted for. All right. We end the discussion of this item, and RTHK suffers a lot of problems. The new broadcasting house has been shut down, and they are in trouble, and yet there are things they have to do. So we support the extension of the supernumerary post. And as for the filling stations, now we're not talking about a new dedicated specially built stations. They are just renting space from existing stations of ATV and TVB. They just place their equipment inside these stations. And in the past, RTHK rely on the two commercial TV stations for airing their programs. So if it is viewed, if they are viewed, and if they're aired in ATV, the audienship is very low. And Mrs. Regina asked them to buy HBO. Well, this is ridiculous. This is not the intention or the objective of RTHK. We spend public money for RTHK to be a public broadcaster, so we must benefit the audience. But anyway, this is logical, and so in principle, we support the establishment of the filling stations. I hope that their funding approval will not be shut down again. Otherwise, RTHK might as well close down. Thank you. Again, going through the motion again, a report from Cyberport. Please invite the relevant representatives to come in. The PS will stay for this item, and we also have Mr. Lai, Mr. Daniel Lai, Government Chief Information Officer, and also Ms. Joey Lam, Deputy Government Chief Information Officer, Mr. Herman Lam, CEO, Hong Kong Cyberport Management Company Limited, Mr. Mark Clift, Chief Operating Officer from Hong Kong Cyberport, and also Mr. Kevin Zhang, Chief Financial Officer. Let's invite representatives from the administration and Cyberport to come in.
咁就或者我哋先請。
P.S. Can you walk us through the paper before we give the floor to Cyberport? Thank you. Since its establishment in 2004, Cyberport is tasked with the public mission to promote ICT in Hong Kong. In the past 3 years, Cyberport has disbursed more than $100 million to its public mission programs. And in the coming 3 years, this is going to be doubled to $200 million. And it will continue its support for ICT startups. It will also enhance cooperation with the trade and also universities for the promotion of ICT in Hong Kong. I give the floor to the CEO of Cyberport to introduce the paper to us. Thank you, Chairman. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to come back to report to the panel the work of Cyberport the past year. All right, I'll just highlight things in the paper and then we'll start the discussion. I'd like to cooperate with professionals in ICT and so that we can have various programs to promote the development of the industry. In the past 3 financial years, from 2011-12 to 2013-14, we have spent more than $100 million in public commission programs.
And towards the end of last year, we had a board meeting, and the Cyberport has decided that in the next 3 years, from 2014-15 to 2016-17, we will continue to commit to public mission programs, and we will also set aside $200 million and will report on the major public mission programs. Now, the first area is the support for ICT startups, and we have several flagship programs. The first one is the Cyberport Creative Microfund (CCMF), and under the CCMF program, the selected project can be given seed funding of $100,000 to turn innovative ideas into prototypes. Up to January 2014, we have granted a total of 108 projects, the sum of $10.8 million. And the other flagship program is the Cyberport Incubation Program. This is a 2-year program. We help on-site and off-site incubatees. For on-site incubatees, they are given rent-free accommodation. And all incubatees also enjoy a financial assistance of $330,000 to cover the expenses. And we have helped 219 incubatees, of which 100 are on-site and 119 are off-site. And 71% of them have survived after 1.5 years after graduation, and 58% have survived for 3 years after graduation. And the incubatees created 1,348 job opportunities, and of the known projects, the incubatees have attracted over $90,000 million investment funding from various investors. And apart from support in this in the financial form, we also organize a series of thematic workshops and training to enhance the quality of startup businesses. And apart from that, we also provide workspace for startups and incubatees. For business startups and overseas ICT startups coming to Hong Kong, they would like to have a flexible arrangement, and we provide a smart space to enable companies to rent these ready-built office units. And in a Cyberport, apart from using their office space, they can also take part in other training and promotion activities. So we have received overwhelming demand, and the smart space started in 2009 and is currently serving 31 companies. And for the graduates of the incubation programs, last January they set up a Cyberport Startup Alumni Association. This is very meaningful because these businesses have very good experience, and they can, through this CSAA, promote and share their experience for our next generation startup companies. 150 members have joined the CSAA, and last year they rolled out a new program called the E+ Startup Program. It's a summer internship program for university students to join these startup companies to work with the entrepreneurs, and so that they have experience in these companies and start up their own businesses in the future if they so wish. And we also work with different ICT associations in promoting ICT. For example, we have the Mobility Experience Center. We work closely with the Hong Kong Wireless Technology Industry Association. We showcase the award-winning apps and groundbreaking mobile technologies. And we also work with the industry players on a number of premium ICT events. And the Cyberport organized over 100 ICT-related events over the past year. And we have 19,000 industry practitioners attending. Apart from local events, we also attach importance to promoting the ICT industry to overseas markets, including mainland China. And we organized 13 inbound and outbound delegations last year. And the industry, as well as their counterparts, welcomed our initiative. And we also have cloud computing. We hope that the Cyberport Cloud could help the industry in developing their apps. For business startups, Community Cloud could help them in promoting their apps. And after we rolled out the Cyberport Cloud, we would like to provide better support for these companies. And so far, 322 companies have subscribed to the Cyberport Cloud. Apart from that, we also focus our effort in digital entertainment. We have a digital cinema exchange platform, and 136 digital screens have been connected to the DCX network, and they allow for the transfer of or streaming of video concerts and cinematic films to cinemas. And we've also improved our master control center so that for input and output they can various formats can now be supported. Now internally, Cyberport is governed by the Hong Kong Cyberport Government Management Company Limited under the steering of an independent board of directors. And last year, we were honored to have been awarded by the Hong Kong Institute of Directors the Directors of the Year Awards 2013, and we also received the recognition of excellence in board diversity, and we feel honored to have gained this recognition. On occupancy and financial performance, as of the end of 2013, the occupancy rate was 91.7%, and there were 194 tenants. As for our financial performance, our accounts was 407 million as far as income is concerned. Expenditure 71, including to some 39 million for public mission activities. So much for my presentation. So who would like to speak? Ms. Claudia Mo, Sin Chung Kai, UC Wing, Mr. Christopher Zhong. I don't think many members will talk about the original sin, so to speak, of Cyberport. Looking at the members that we have here, they are going to tell you something about their operation on a self-financing basis. Ms. Claudia Mo. I feel that Cyberport is very high-tech, very modernized, and my only disappointment is that it should have been a Silicon Valley. It has the cinema, it has a shopping arcade. Well, all of these look nice, but they don't have much to do with the IT. Now, about letting of office space, the occupancy rate was 90% according to your paper. So it seems that we could not meet all the demand. So what about the transportation problem? Some say that Cyberport is only for watching films, because one could only drive there. So will there be any improvement on public transport at Cyberport? Mr. Lam. Thank you, Chairman. On the transport issue, we hope that by the end of this year, the MTR West Island line should reach Kennedy Town, and there would be feeder service leading to the Cyberport. But in the interim, in fact, we have various IT events at the Cyberport, and as mentioned, we every year hold over 100 ICT-related events with over attendance, or even with over 1,000 or even 2,000 attendances. And we also offer feeder services, including coaches, buses to Admiralty. We have over 5,000 staff working at Cyberport, and we also provide supporting transport for them. So what about the occupancy rate? Can you reach 100%? Of course, we will try our best. So far, the office space letted was 91.7%. For ICT startups and the ICT industry, in recent years, the development locally is quite good, and the supporting transportation will also be improved. I believe that the occupancy rate will improve accordingly. Mr. Sin Chung Kai, I'm happy to see that the occupancy rate has improved. Back then, the IT bubble burst, followed by SARS outbreak, and that was the time when the Cyberport began its operation. So for a long time, the occupancy rate was low, but now the office space should be vacated. The office space originally occupied by the government should be vacated, and there are also 7 NGOs or non-profit organizations. Now, Cyberport should be related to ICT, and I wonder if the space should be used by its own industry. It should be all about IT or ICT. So maybe it's time for the office space to be used solely by the industry. Of course, in the beginning, I understand that there might be a reason why some other organizations occupy the space. So you're asking whether the NGOs are not related to ICT should be asked to vacate the premises. The OGCIO has one of the small team occupying the space at Cyberport, and the staff members are all members of the ICT industry, and they regularly liaise with tenants of Cyberport as part of their work. And we also provide a ICT solution center at Cyberport for industry practitioners to showcase their solutions and give demonstrations. So we think that this can facilitate exchange. And second question, perhaps CEO Mr. Lam could take it, about non-profit organizations. Thank you, Chairman. On the composition of tenants, of course we would like to see IT tenants, but we'd also like to see a more diversified portfolio. We like to see different users so that we have a multifarious pool of users forming a chain. And in recent years, angel investors also set up small offices at Cyberport. For the non-profit organizations, we will review the situation. If they are helpful to the IT sector, they can stay there. Well, yes, it's part of the ecological chain, as you put it, but back then, when occupancy rate was quite low, they were invited to use the space there, but now, in fact, these organizations may not have an objective that tallies with the Cyberport, which is IT related. Well, CEO, you mentioned, the OGCIO mentioned that there is a team there. If necessary, they need to carry out liaison with the tenants. But in fact, they don't need to be physically there. So what's the purpose of their occupying the space there? Of course, it may be useful if their purpose is really to develop IT. So, GCIO, could you give us more details? You say that this is one of the teams under OGCIO is responsible for IT, but is it really necessary to occupy a space there to liaise with the tenants?
Well, the team is responsible for software development, and they have a lot of opportunity to contact other companies in Cyberport to have access to new technology. Another team is responsible for training, because in Cyberport there are a lot of activities and training programs. We believe we can achieve synergy by being there. Christopher Chung. I think Cyberport is not doing what it's supposed to do. Can you tell us what percentage of your lessees engaged in activities not related to IT? Of course, you can say that even if they use a computer or mobile phones, they're related to IT. But your public mission is to promote ICT. If there are, can you tell us the percentage of companies that are not in this related trade? And according to a report, the commodities exchange or the merchandise exchange also leased premises from you. So did you just recover, re-enter the site and lease it out? How did you tackle that problem? Yes, we wanted to make our chain of companies more diversified. We hope that we can have IT suppliers and IT users and also other types of companies. However, most of our tenants are in ICT and entertainment industry. Perhaps I ask Mark to answer this question.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. As CEO mentioned, certainly the vast majority of companies at Cyberport are definitely in the ICT field. We have a very small number, something like less than 10%, that are complementary or supplementary to the ICT field, particularly small law firms, IP, patent lawyers, small investment companies, companies like that. Mercantile Exchange has been mentioned. That company was vetted by the vetting committee and they were considered acceptable. I think like a lot of companies in Hong Kong, for example, Stock Exchange, etc., they have a massive amount of IT professionals working within, and their entire operation is an online sort of cloud-based type platform.
Well,
he did not mention mercantile exchange at all. Please don't think that I don't understand English. Well, you have spent so much money on Cyberport, and you're telling us that we are not just doing cyber industry. You have got a lot of ICT startups. Well, if you have changed our mission, then we have nothing to say. I think they have really digressed. What is their mission? Well, Para 2, it says that the mission is to support and promote ICT, and now they're saying that they can accept other companies, then you may as well accept other small businesses and hawkers and other things. You should not waste the government's investment. Cyberport is neither fish nor fowl. It is at a very primitive stage for IT companies. You only allow setups to operate there. But in the first place, we're told that large digital cyber companies such as Microsoft and Google will be attracted to come. How many of them have set up establishment here? Now, since you failed, and you tell us that, well, you can accept other types of business so long as they're using IT. Anyone who's going to take this question? If I may supplement. Perhaps I did not make myself clear. Yes, we are talking about ICT startups, not any other kind of startups. Well, for startups to be successful, they need to be supported by different types of companies. And Mr. Zhong asked whether we have large IT companies. We do have well-renowned enterprises operating there. We want to create environment with diversity. What about the mercantile exchange? Right, the mercantile exchange, all right. What happened to it?
Yeah, so mercantile exchange, as I mentioned, they qualify because they have a vast amount of IT and development people. As has been publicly recorded, they had some difficulties. As we always do, we took legal advice, we followed the contract, we followed all the legal procedures as rapidly as we were able to. We report every month to our board of directors to keep them fully informed what's happening with any case where there are tenancy issues.
So are they paying rent? Are the premises left vacant? Why don't you ask them whether they have got rent in arrears? So have they got rent in arrears? The mercantile exchange. Well, as reported in the media last year, they were rent in arrears, but they've already paid up. Well, as for the latest development, well, they are still in Cyberport, and the tenancy agreement is still valid. And if there are other scenarios, we will follow according to established procedures. For Cyberport management company, well, now the CEO here is Hong Kong Cyberport Management Company Limited. We've also got the Hong Kong Cyberport Company, a private company under the financial secretary. Now we focus on whether they have rented out all their premises, because we're talking about public money. And the mission of Cyberport is to support and promote information and communications technology in Hong Kong through the creation of a cluster of ICT company professionals, as well as implementation of programs to foster industry development and nurture ICT startups. Mr. Yu Siwing, Chairman, you just referred to their public mission. So if they have made profits, they should thought about developing digital technology. Para 6 says that since 2005, the Cyberport incubation program has admitted 219 ICT startups, and 71% of them have survived for 1.5 years after graduation, and 58% have survived for 3 years after graduation. But what about 3 years afterwards? What is the percentage of survival after 3 years? Because the figure is not here. And will the government enhance this program? Because we must promote the development of IT in Hong Kong. If we consider the further development of our industry, then it is a waste of public payers' money. And then there is also angel investors. You have got 6 sessions, 6 startup clinic sessions, and you can only attract funding of $750,000 from an investor from the U.S. So is it cost effective? Is it worthwhile? Will the government continue to do this? Mr. Lam? Well, the program, the incubation program started in 2005. So it was only in 2008-09 that the program was run in a larger scale. So 3 years after graduation, well, the program lasted for 2 years. So 2 plus 3 is already 5 years. We don't have too many statistics on those of the situation of 3 years after graduation. Well, as time moves on, we may have more statistics to report to you. And Para 7 is just but one example. In Para 6, now we're not informed of the outcome in each and every case, but we understand that over $90 million of investment has been attracted. So in 2005, the program was not yet mature. Well, in 2005, it was the inception stage. We started to recruit the first batch. So the first batch of graduates should be in 2011. No, 06, 08. So 2011, 3 years. So we're in 2013. Do you know how many of these startups are still alive? Well, we do have such figures. I can provide them later. We observe such startups. We observe them for 1, 2, 3 years after graduation. We rarely track them after 3 years. So please tell us the scope of operations so we'll know whether it is cost effective considering the resources you have put in. So CEO, please provide supplementary information afterwards. Ms. Elizabeth Quat. It's good that we have Cyberport to promote the development of ICT and nurtures ICT startups. You should double your efforts. I'd like to know in the future what will be the targets and indicators to measure the success or otherwise of your work. Because what we have are the number of companies that have taken part and also the awards they have won. But do you have any targets? Now you are going to invest another $200 million for public mission programs. I don't know whether this is too much or too little because I don't know what are your targets. Do you have any short, medium, and long-term plans? For instance, the number of ICT setups you are going to nurture, and also how do they qualify to be successful? I don't see your targets, so I can't tell whether $200 million is enough or not. 1 or 2 years, when you come back to give us another report, you may be using the same figures, and we don't know whether you have succeeded or not. We don't want to use the rates of occupancy of office space to measure your success. We want to know the number of companies that have been successfully set up with your help. We do have targets. We have got a 3-year plan in the coming 3 years with very clear targets for startups. We hope that in the coming 3 years we'll be able to nurture no less than 150 startups. And for the incubation program, we'd like to help no less than 150 new startups in the coming 3 years. And for startups, we hope that we can help them to extend their business to overseas. These are what we call successful cases. We have set targets for ourselves. And how do you decide that it should be 150 companies? You say that you are going to use your CCMF to support another 150 companies. Why are you satisfied with that? Well, you have profits and you also have fiscal reserves. Why don't you do more? Why don't you set a higher target? Yes, 150 is the target we set for ourselves. We'll keep an eye on the market situation, and if there is a greater demand, we will discuss with the board of directors and increase the investment. We have vetting panels. We believe 150 will be about right. So if the target is set on the basis of the current demand, have you consider how you can attract more young people? You should not wait for them to come to apply for your program. Rather, when they're students, you should start to approach them and encourage them to think of being startups, to encourage them to be entrepreneurs. Yes, in the coming 3 years, we hope to reach out to more sectors of society, students in particular. So we have student internship scheme. The idea is to let them know about our startup programs.
But like we mentioned, we have internship opportunities. Apart from larger companies, we also provide internship placements at the smaller startup companies. Thank you. I hope the Cyberport can do more, strengthen its effort in this regard to nurture more startups. Next, Mr. Christopher Jung. Well, 3 minutes. I have just looked at your website, and your vision is to be the leading IT hub, and so on and so forth. So it's been years. Have you fulfilled this vision? If not, what have you done to move towards this goal? Mr. Lam. Chairman, we have been striving towards this goal. And when we say hub, it's not just a single hub, but Cyberport is one of the major hubs, and we have collaborated with similar IT hubs in the region, mainland cities, and even Silicon Valley. And when we promote our work, we very often achieve synergy. And as mentioned by members, we covered a wide scope. We need to focus our work on, first of all, nurturing ICT startups, and secondly, forging collaborations. And over the past, we have been working with various companies, working with different mainland cities and provinces, and with other hubs. Chairman, I think what he said is just poles apart as far as the vision is concerned. So please give us a report next time on the vision and mission. There are 3 major points here. Tell us, what have you done? What have you achieved? Don't talk nonsense. Your vision is to nurture the state-of-the-art ICT startup, etc. Tell us, in reality, about the 3 missions. What have you achieved? What have you done? Include this in your report. Otherwise, there'll be no benchmark against which we make our assessment. So follow your vision and mission and give us another report and tell us what you have done. But that will be in a year's time. Right, so much for this item. Now we thank representatives of the Hong Kong Cyberport Management Company Limited. And the next item is renewal of the domestic free TV program service licenses. And as members know, this Saturday we're going to hold a special meeting on license renewal with deputations and members of the public coming. So you will still have the opportunity to give your comments this Saturday. And this Saturday we'll have a special meeting, and today the ATV and TVB will not attend, and today we have the Permanent Secretary, Deputy Secretary, PAS, and Communications Authority, Mr. Ambrose Ho, Chairman, and also Mr. Adrian Wong Kun Man, Chairman of the Broadcast Complaints Committee, and also Ms. Eliza Lee, Director General of Communications, and other colleagues. Let's invite them in.
Okay. 嗱，咁就冇辦。
Ms. Claudia MO, on the 10th of March, today's meeting on the renewal of the domestic free TV program service licenses has moved a motion, and we're going to photocopy that motion to members and government officials. This panel urges the Chief Executive and the CN Council to, before making decision on the renewal of the domestic free TV program service licenses, consider the conduct of the applicants, including the possible abuse of the airwaves. And we're going to deal with this motion. If members have no other comments, we will invite Ms. Claudia MO to speak on the motion for a minute or two, and then put this to a vote. Or, if no one objects to the motion, to declare that it's unanimously supported. Well, we're a bit ahead of our schedule, so the Communications Authority chairman hasn't arrived. We'll invite we have members waiting to ask questions. Ms. Claudia MO, etc. Who else? Sid Ho and Deputy Chair Ms. Elizabeth Quat. Who else? So we'll invite the PS to speak first. Thank you, Chairman. As mentioned by Chairman, the domestic free TV program service licenses of ATV and TVB. In relation to this matter, the Communications Authority is conducting a public consultation, and then by November, recommendations will be submitted to CE in Council, and we will follow the established practice in handling the renewal of license. And the Communications Authority is, according to the established procedure, assessing the license renewal applications, and will also check the performance and also their compliance with regulatory requirements and performance, and will also consider the financial commitment and the arrangement of programs and public's views on the performance of licensees before putting forward the CA's recommendations. The details are set out in the paper. Now, I understand the Communications Authority is conducting an assessment on the two licensees. The public consultation has started on the 4th of February. It's still ongoing. We have held some public forums, and there will be another one in Sha Tin. And our team and our colleagues will be happy to take views from members on the licenses applications, and we will be attending the public hearing on the 15th of March. We have a number of members, starting with Mr. Chen Chi-chun and a couple more, and also Mr. Yu Si-wing. Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Well, I'd like to put some questions to the chairman on the policy. But let me put the questions first anyway. In some jurisdictions, the approval or issuing of licenses is different. Well, PS may not understand my question. My question is actually related to the auction of spectrum. And in some jurisdictions, they have a free market, and as long as you win the bid in the auction, you can then operate. But now in Hong Kong, the operators are chosen first before spectrum bandwidth is allocated. Now, at least we have 2 existing stations and another station which has obtained a mobile license, and maybe 2 other stations relying on the optic fiber transmission, showing interest in running TV stations. What approach will the government take? Will it be in the way of auction? Or so is this response to Financial Secretary's warning that we could have a structural deficit in 7 years' time? I think the administration can take this question. This is not the first time Mr. Sin asked this question. Will the government change its policy, that is for spectrum to be auctioned before licenses are issued? Well, I have answered this question on various occasions. Now, in the policy agenda, before it's established, we take the administrative approach in allocating spectrum. Now, for free-to-air TV licenses, upon its expiry on 2015, we will rely on the established practice in the policy agenda. That is, where there are competitions, we will rely on the market mechanism, unless there are overriding public interests not to do so. And we will handle this issue together with the issuing of licenses. So the answer is what? The answer is no. It's very clear. It will be dealt with at the same time by then and explained to members. So dealt with, does it mean that it will be done or not? It will be done, because as mentioned just now, we will follow the arrangements in the policy guidelines on the handling of spectrum, which covers the reliance on market principles where there are competitions. In fact, the Communications Authority is very familiar with it on the auctioning of spectrum, and as I understand, you get the TV program service licenses first before the bandwidth is allocated. So if there is competition in the market, the mechanism should be reversed. The bidder should win the auction before the license is given. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. Well, now this is about the application of renewal of the 2 licensees. Now, what is the difference between the last time? By the end of November, the CA will submit its recommendations to the CE in Council, and then CE in Council, apart from this recommendation, will consider a basket of factors before reaching a decision. The decision could be contrary to the CA's recommendation. Now, last time many doubted the CE in Council working behind closed doors. Now, we had the last incident. Are you concerned that this tragedy will be repeated? Can we prevent this from happening? Now, the public may be airing their views at the moment, but in the end, the CE in Council's decision may not consider the public's views, including the CA's recommendations. The second question has to do with the renewal period. According to the law, it's a period of 10 years. Is it a statutory requirement? Can it be shortened during the CE election because of a scandal being revealed? Some ask whether the license period can be shortened. Now, apart from renewal period, there is also a period for extending the license. Does it mean that it's a less than a full-time renewal? Before its renewal, the license can be extended for, say, a number of years. Can you explain a bit more?
The first question regarding the tragedy, I don't know whether it will be a tragedy for the licenses to be renewed or the other way around. All right. So you so first is according to you, the tragedy is a recommendation by the CA to be vetoed by the CE in Council, right? All right, Chairman. Will the tragedy repeat itself? Thank you. Well, in last November, we received application for the extension or renewal of the licenses. We plan to recommend our views to the CE in Council in this November for their scrutiny. Of course, the licenses will expire on the 30th of November next year. Under our statutory powers, we are required to make recommendations on the basis of the following criteria. First, compliance with regulatory requirements and also its performance in compliance of code of practice. We also have to consider the financial commitment of the licensees and other factors such as programming arrangements. And now we are gathering public views. We also take into account public views on the renewal applications. So we will conduct an assessment on the basis of a number of factors, and before October this year, we'll come to a decision and make recommendations to the CE in Council. Under the legal framework, the CA will make recommendations. Whether the CE will accept our recommendations, what the decision should be, well, it is entirely for the CE in Council. Well, the free TV licenses do not have a fixed term. It's just in the past, usually it was for 12 years. What is the difference between the extension and renewal of a license? For a renewal, it is a new license. The licensing conditions can be varied. There may be changes in undertakings under the license, including investment. As for the extension, it's just the extension of a license under the current conditions. Under what circumstances will it be an extension and not renewal? So far we have not extended any license, but they have been reviewed, right? Mr. Yu Shiwing. The CA has set out a number of factors for consideration. Yet there is no mention of audienship and investments or profit. We know that one of the companies do not have a very high viewership, and it's also losing its investment. Will you specify a certain condition to the extent that if you have incurred a certain loss, or if the viewership is below a certain percentage point, then the license will not be renewed? Well, we have this item on the financial commitment of the licensees as well as the compliance with regulatory requirements. We are now granting a license to a free domestic TV operator. If its financial strength is not up to standard, well, that is one of our considerations. And the popularity of the TV programs and also its viewership. Well, we are now conducting public consultations. This evening, we will have the last session in Sha Tin. We have also got a territory-wide opinion survey to gauge public views. We hope that in the public consultation exercise and in the opinion survey, we can find out the public's views on the renewal application of the two licensees. For instance, whether the respondents have a habit of watching TV, and also the usual TV programs or stations they prefer, so on and so forth. Mr. Siu, in other words, even if the licensee is incurring losses, if in the coming 6 years or 12 years it has got sufficient financial strength to support its operation, the administration will still consider this application. We will consider it very carefully. If the licensee is incurring losses and yet it can provide financial commitment, we will consider the reasons and also the undertaking behind that decision. Ms. Claudia MO, I really find it rather regrettable. Well, the CA is going to run 3 public consultation forums and to conduct an opinion survey covering 3,000 households. So the CA is serious in carrying out its business, and will make recommendations to the CA Council, and finally the decision is made by one single man, then what's the point? I think they are just wasting the energy of Hong Kong people. I'm worried that the CA, out of its goodwill, will agree that we can have programs on public affairs commentary. I'm afraid that the people will abuse your decency, because a reasonable person would think that a large TV station will have taste and will conduct its business properly. But in the future, people cannot even complain against a certain commentary program because it is a commentary. Well, the the host can criticize members of the CA. They can criticize you that your policy is in a mess, and they will only give you 15 seconds to respond. Technically, it has not breached anything. Well, but that may be a precedent. Yeah, I understand that there are other similar arrangements in other countries, but in Hong Kong it is very special. We have got only 2 free domestic TV stations. Of course, you can say that the public can choose not to stay tuned, but this is not fair, because we are talking about public airwaves, and it is abuse of public asset. So I have a motion, hoping that now I make no mention of a public commentary program, because the CA has not formally announced this. There are still 2 more months to go, but I am quite sure that this is going to happen, and I think we have to worry on behalf of Hong Kong audience. Now, I have asked many questions in relation to details, so I'm just making known my views. I don't expect any answer. Ms. Sit Ho. Yes, the CA has gone about this exercise very seriously. They have got public consultation forums and opinion survey. I hope the officers can tell the Seeing Council that if their decision is against or is not the same as CA's recommendations, then they have to prepared for the political consequence. They must give us very full justifications as to why they have not acted according to the advice of the CA. I'd like to say to the CA that if you just assess their financial commitment, it will be useless, because if an operator is willing to lose all its investment, and if it is not interested in improving its programs, if its objective is to take up half of the airwaves for free TV, and if its sole purpose is to block new entrants, then this is not going to serve Hong Kong well. If you just assess their financial commitment, we are so worried, or we're so anxious, because last time the CE said that 5 licenses will be too many, 4 is enough, and yet one of the licensees is not interested in improving its program at all. So if we do not grant a renewal to this licensee, then aspiring parties can then join the market. And that's why we are also eager to express our views. Can the CA answer the following question? While a licensee may have enough financial strength to go in the red in the coming 6 years, I think we should consider public opinion on the quality of its programs. And para 5 says that there will be submissions from ATV and TVB on the existing license conditions. Will the submissions be published so that at least we can see their applications and their performance pledges? You have only a few minutes left for them to answer your many questions. Yes. In addition to financial commitment, we have a series of factors to consider in vetting an application. For instance, in the past 11 years, the extent of compliance with regulatory requirements and code of practice issued by the CA, the number of complaints and how serious the complaints are. We also consider the financial commitment, the financial capability, and its ability to comply with regulatory requirements. We also consider their undertaking to improve their current programs, and we will also consider public views collected in recent activities. We've got focus groups and public forums and an opinion survey. We will take all factors into consideration before making a recommendation. Will their submissions be published? Now, if the submissions are accepted by the CA, they will be part of the licensing conditions. So will that be published? Yes. Ms. Elizabeth Quat. Can the CA tell us if there are another or even another two companies applying for a license at the same time? Will there be any priority granted to the current two licensees? Or will all applications be considered on the same footing? Well, these two licensees are applying for license renewal. We have not received any new applications for a license. And of course, there are two already approved by the CA in Council, and the CA is carrying out negotiations and seeking information from them, and we will also work on the license conditions. When two new licenses are issued, the administration claims that the market can only accommodate 4 free TV licenses. So if these two operators apply for license renewal, will the administration only consider new applications if these two applications fail?
Director General, I can only say that under the BO, as far as the renewal of the existing licensees are concerned, we only give recommendations, make recommendations. The ultimate decisions will be made by the CE in Council, be it fresh licenses or renewal of licenses. So under what circumstances can new applicants apply for the new TV licenses? Yes. Let me take the general question first, because I'm also Deputy Chair of the Communications Authority. And I'll defer to my colleague to take the question on the CE in Council bit. Now, we don't have any restriction on the application for the free TV license, but I understand that these two matters will be dealt with separately. But according to the government's statement previously, if these existing 2 TV stations successfully renew their licenses, does it mean that other applicants will have no chance? After the CE in Council announces its decision last time, according to their announcement last time, your understanding is correct. So at any time now, any company applying for new TV license will need to wait for the renewal applications to be dealt with first before the applications will be considered. Not necessarily all applications will be considered again, but you have no vacancy. Perhaps there will be other changes. Now, in dealing with new applications, many members of the public would like to see more locally produced programs. There are also complaints against advertisements within the program. Will there be any regulation on these matters in the future? In fact, in the interim review, and we're focusing on the license renewal applications of ATV and TVB, not fresh applications. And last time, we also imposed a requirement of locally produced programs. In terms of number of hours, they need to meet a certain requirement. And this time, we will assess if they can meet this requirement of local programs. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Now, there are three major considerations, one being the public's views on the TV licensee's performance. According to the two public forums, should be two, there will be one more tonight. According to the two public forums, the public almost catcalled the ATV. So everyone thinks that ATV should go, and that's the first consideration. Second consideration, financial commitment, and ATV always begs for support. It's almost a scandal to our overseas counterparts. Now, the first one, compliance with regulatory requirements. Now, how could the license be renewed? It could meet none of these three requirements. And PS last time talked about 3, 4, or 5 licenses. Well, tell CY Leung, based on these three criteria, it should be phased out. So have you ever told CY Leung the ATV has this policy? At no time should Leung Kwok-hong appear on the station. I have been told by someone in the ATV. So it's a waste of time. Chairman, I think you can resign instead. I won't praise you, Mr. Ho. All government appointed CEOs or chairmen, if you are not happy with the government's orders, you should resign. And he is so shameless. He just doesn't listen to your recommendation. And in fact, maybe he's watching it. Well, civil servants can't resign, but why can't you resign? Ms. Lee and the other official, well, these AOs, they just give the same statements, regardless of their positions. And now for the license renewal, you're going to repeat the same. Having considered the factors, ATV can continue running a station. Well, that's not an insult yet. This is the first day you know CY Leung, Chairman. And there was a court case, and then the chief executive said that he himself made the decision. And then we are just here discussing his decisions. So tell us, Mr. Ho, do you think ATV should be given a license renewal? Just tell me. You have just 10 seconds or so. So answer him. The three criteria mentioned. Will they be given the license? Public consultation includes seeking views from members on the license renewal. I take Mr. Leung's point. We will also consider all the views. Out of 199 would say that it should not get the license. Apart from Jasper Zhang, the remaining 69 would probably say that the license should not be given. We have two newcomers, I'm sorry, they just come back. Mr. Paul Chair and Mrs. Regina Yip. First round? No? Mr. Paul Chair then. Yes, first question. On the relevant factors to be considered, that's for ABC in the paper. I wonder if any weight will be given to a particular factor. Are there any mandatory requirements out of the 3? Or that any requirement can be disregarded? Second question. Ms. Claudia MO has moved the motion today on professional conduct or abuse of airwaves. Will this be regarded as factors for your consideration? If these will be considered, then where should it be put under? And for the 2 existing licensees, they must have over 5,000 households receiving their signal before they can be regarded as a station under the regulation. Now, for mobile TV station, any mobile device can receive their signal without any regulation. But if the signal is changed so that households could also receive the same signal, then what is the view of the administration to ensure that there is a level playing field in the market? 3 questions. For the third question, the Communications Authority can decide whether to answer or not, because our focus today is on the license renewal of the 2 licensees today, and Mr. Porche also asked a very meaningful question. I don't know if Claudia MO understands this. If Ricky Wong wants to set up a TV station, it has to penetrate into the households, and if there are over 5,000 households, it will be subject to the CA's regulation. Well, it really touch upon this point. I'm trying to explain this to other members. For the first 2 questions, they must answer you. For the third question, it's up to them. So, over to you, Chairman. Please answer the first 2 questions. Now, as mentioned just now, we're going to consider a series of factors, and on individual factors, for example, its past performance, its compliance with regulatory requirements or licensing conditions, the technical aspect, financial performance, etc. We do conduct assessments on these individual aspects together with an overall aspect, but it's not the case of giving a pass mark if it scores over 50 or vice versa. Any weighting say for non-compliance or irregularities, we looked at the seriousness, not just the number. It depends on the penalty or the approach, how it is handled. We consider very carefully each and every irregularity. It's difficult for us to say that 5 would be the threshold, 6 would mean the fail. After assessing different aspects, we give an overall assessment. So it depends on how serious the breach is. If every time it gets a fine of 1 million, of course it's serious. Next, on mobile broadcasting reaching households, HKTV gets a general license to provide mobile TV programs, and after getting this license, it doesn't mean that for example, if the programs it delivers or the model it delivers is similar to broadcaster. It is subject to the BO's regulation. And we recently met with the HA TV, and we also had correspondences and exchanged our views. This is the stage when our lawyers are writing to each other, and we are also seeking legal advice at the moment, so we must not disclose too many details here. So the relevant parties should be ready for the battle. Second round is Sid Ho, Ray Chan, No Kwok, who else? Ms. Claudia MO. We need to handle the motion, so 3 minutes. Ms. Sid Ho. Thank you, Chairman. Oh, this is not a hypothetical question. If one of the licensees does not have his license renewed, or if both fails to get a license renewal, what will happen? Are you going to start retendering, or will it be done on a first-come, first-served basis, and that previous applicants will be given preference? So the hypothesis is, what happens if these existing two licensees fail to get the licenses renewed? And will CE and Council have to give an answer? Or maybe we'll ask the PS to answer your question, but I don't think they can answer your questions anyway. Well, if either or both licensees don't get their license renewed, what would happen? Chairman.
For the time being, we have not considered the scenario. What if one of the licensees? Well, to be fair, I listed out all possibilities. We haven't come to any recommendation yet. Can I refrain from answering this hypothetical question? So, administration, will you retender the license? Of course, they have 1 year as transition. This hypothetical question is very hard to answer. As you said, Chairman, the licenses will only expire in end 2015, so there is time to respond. Now, this is not entirely hypothetical. You cannot assume that you will certainly renew both licenses. Otherwise, what's the point of a public consultation? Since you're going to vet the application, there is the possibility that the license, one or both of the licenses, will not be renewed. I think the PS answer to you. There is 1 year before the expiry, so they will see whether there will be another open tendering or additional conditions to be imposed. I want the administration to tell us earlier, and please do not make your own political decision and not tell us anything. Mr. Gary Chen. Yes, I like to ask about the licensing conditions. We want the CA to be more transparent. There are 3 areas: any breach of regulatory requirements, financial commitment, and public views. I'd like to know whether there is any weighting. If not, this is going to be very subjective. For instance, regulatory requirements, you do not have a demerit point system. You can you don't have a threshold below which it would be dangerous, and then you don't have any objective criteria for financial commitment. And in the last, you said you attach great importance to public views. Of course, you won't tell me that this carries the greatest weight. What if the public say that you should not renew one of the licenses and you should allow another operator to come in? So I'd like to know what are the corresponding weighting, relative weighting. Yes, we will consider everything as a whole because it is hard to quantify the factors. I'll take the breaches as example. Some breaches were more serious, some involved minor issues, and it's pointless just to count the number of non-compliance. And even if it is a serious case, we have to consider whether there was any improvements afterwards, or whether the situation has remained unsatisfactory, and whether it was the making of the board of directors or not. So it is hard for us to quantify the weighting of the factors. Public views, we will certainly set a lot of store by them. Well, for compliance, I think it is easy for you to set up a demerit point system. You can specify the number of demerit points for particular offenses. Now, this is not our usual practice. If all of a sudden we introduce quantifiable considerations, it is not fair to the two licensees. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. But because we are talking about a license renewal, you can introduce something new. You can impose new conditions. You can introduce a scoring system. The problem is, in nowhere else in the world will the president be asked to decide whether a license should be granted. And you can seek a judicial review. So do you want me to lodge a judicial review against your decision? Mr. Ho, can you tell me in which country or jurisdiction where the head of government decides whether a license should be granted to an operator, not even on the mainland? I don't think even President Xi would be asked to do that, because I don't think that's the case on the mainland. So please cite some examples for me to enlighten me. All right, Mr. Leung Kwok-hong referred to the law court. I think it is the civil. I think it's the lawsuit between private or civic radio station. Well, we cannot comment on the practices in other jurisdictions. They all have different practices. There is no uniformed way of doing things. In Hong Kong, under the law, it is the CA Council and the CA that are responsible for considering license applications. And what we do here is to carry out our statutory duties. All right, take LegCo. If the budget is rejected by LegCo, then the administration can resubmit it. If it is again vetoed by the council, then the council has to be dissolved. So, the CE, if the CE has rejected twice the recommendations by a certain body tasked by the relevant legislation to give it advice. Now, so if they can insult you 100 of times and rape you 100 of times and still go free, then of course they will continue to commit the offense. Should we do something to sanction the CE? I don't think they can answer you, Mr. Leung. Ms. Claudia MO. The third question of Mr. Paul Z. I find it strange that the CA said that there is mobile TV license and that there are legal exchanges between the government and the Hong Kong TV. I really want to know, is there something wrong with their mobile TV license, and that come the 1st of July, they cannot launch their programs. I don't think they have a lawsuit. It's just that there are exchanges between the lawyers of both parties. All right, the administration can choose to supplement or not. Well, under the relevant legislation, even though a license is granted, that doesn't mean that the operator doesn't have to comply with other pieces of legislation. Do you think there is any problem in their launching their service on the 1st of July? Well, if the legal issues are resolved, then there won't be any problems. What is the greatest legal issue? As I said, under the broadcasting ordinance, there are specifications as to under what circumstances should a license be required. For instance, if the program can be received by designated viewers in 500 premises, then this is a contravention of the license. If they want to change the mode to something similar to DTT, then this may be a contravention of the law. As regards how far it can go, I am afraid I cannot comment now. That means, technically speaking, if they can keep it to below 5,000, it would be fairly safe. Or if the mode is not something that can be received by over 5,000 viewers, then it will be okay. Now, if you're talking about mobile TV, if you want it to be something like a free TV, then you are subject to the regulation of BO. Then you have to apply for a license. Well, since they have acquired a license from mobile, they've already acquired China Mobile. Now, many people don't like China Mobile. It's strange that people have not objected to it. But anyway, this is not part of our discussion. Mr. Posse. I think Mr. Ho has tried to address my previous question, but I don't think the answer is very clear, because we are worried that there may be operation. There will be a black box operation, and we are not sure whether the assessment is objective, and it's harder still for us to know whether the CA Council has adopted appropriate criteria in their consideration. I know it is difficult to accord a certain score to previous incidents, and it may not be fair, but even in a beauty contest or any other competition, there will be there will be a marking scheme to tell us the weighting of the different sectors. Whether you talk about the appearance, the figure, or countenance of a contestant, you have some idea. So you say that you attach great importance to the public views on the performance of the licensees. So I'd like to know how much weighting there is. What is the rough percentage? Mr. Ho. Well, we don't accord a certain percentage to public views. We say we attach great importance to public views, and the fact is we really attach significance to their views. We have so many forums, and this evening 7 to 9 is organized by the CA, and then this Saturday this panel has got a public hearing, and we will send members to attend the public hearing. And we will also gauge the views of the public using our territory-wide opinion survey. So in each and every aspect, and we will consider the performance, and we do not quantify the weighting of each factor. This is not the way we do things. How can you convince the public that you genuinely attach great importance to public views? How can you ensure that this is not just a formality? So, we will analyze and compile public views collected, and when the CE in Council announce its decision next November, we will also announce the public views we have collected. By then you'll be able to know what views we have received. We will not operate like a black box. All right, we end our discussion here. The public forum will be held in Sha Tin Town Hall at 7 p.m. If not, you can also attend the public hearing this Saturday. The 2 licensees will be present, and 20 deputations or individuals will also be present. How many deputations have registered? 24. I hope this evening's public forum will be conducted smoothly, and there will be no one hurting things around. Actually, the last 2 forums were quite safe, and the person who scolded a member of the public was already sacked or disposed of. Okay, we have a motion from Ms. Claudia MO. It is directly relevant to our item. So if over half of the members present are agreeable, we can deal with the motion now. Any objection? All right, show of hands. Those who agree that we should deal with the motion now, hands up please. All right, a show of hands. 5. Those against? Yu Siwing. Abstention any? Paul. All right, you abstain. Right, we'll now have to deal with Ms. Claudia Mo's motion.
I need to change the wording of Ms. Mo's motion, not to change its meaning. This panel, we should make it clear. It is this panel. So let me read out the motion. You have this photocopy with you. Please change the wording. This panel urges the CE in Council, before making the decision on the renewal of licenses for ATV and TVB, to consider carefully the professional conduct of the licensees, including whether the airwaves have been abused in any form. Ms. Claudia MO, your turn. Now, according to the existing legislation, despite the hard effort of the Communications Authority and its transparency, after making recommendations to the CE in Council, it's up to the CE to make the ultimate decisions. Last time, on the issuance of free-to-air TV licenses, we already had this experience. So I'm not targeting the Communications Authority. I am targeting the CE in Council. And my greatest worry is that in terms of technical and financial requirements, well, these are not difficult to achieve or to meet. But ultimately, the considerations should be given on whether the airwaves have been abused, whether the public or the broadcasting organization is being used for some ulterior motive. So let's set aside political differences. This panel should put this on record. That is, we urge the CE in Council to pay attention to this. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Paul Chair. On this motion, I'd like to respond by making these 2 points. First, Ms. Mo is putting forward these factors of consideration, and maybe these should be considered not only by the CE in Council but by the Communications Authority. So Ms. Mo could consider adding the words the authority as well as CE in Council, meaning the CA. and on whether the airwaves are being abused, etc. I think these factors are being considered under the existing mechanism. Can you clarify this? Is this true? Director General, as I understand, under the existing ordinance, the broadcasting ordinance, or the licensing conditions for the free-to-air TV license and the various code of practice issued by the CA, there is nothing that prohibits the abuse of airwaves as such. However, professional conduct should include this part. Professional conduct which, where is it mentioned? It's in the code of practice. And on the whole, in terms of corporate governance of the licensees, we also attach importance. If it's stipulated, we can then assess the compliance situation about abusing airwaves and using the airwaves for ulterior motives. Well, it's a matter of general professional conduct, but Ms. Claudia MO's motion is specific. She may not agree to include the CA in her motion because she believes CA will not do such a thing. Chairman, to supplement, please speak into the microphone. In fact, in our code of practice is very clear. For news programs, current affairs programs, the code of practice states that the position should be neutral. Abusing airwaves, well, it's a matter of diction. In fact, the code of practice does contain the requirement that the editorial, current affairs programs, etc., they should be neutral. Because of Ms. Mo's motion, there is a question, for example, on whether ATV is abusing airwaves, and now, as long as you make the declaration, you can include your personal views in the news affairs program. All right, we have discussed this motion. Let's put this to a vote. Will those in favor of Ms. Claudia MO's motion please raise your hands? 5. Those against? 1. Abstentions? 1. 2 abstained. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.